Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here.
Jacob here, meeting my icon, Catherine Isabel, Fantasy Lorenzo.
Wait, what did you say?
Fantasy Lorenzo.
Have a good one.
You guys better subscribe and watch my friend on his YouTube channel. He is kicking ass.
The one, the only, the classic Halloween. Halloween night. A small American town. 15 years ago. Michael? Halloween.
I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. I think he'll come back.
Exploring uncharted territory.
Totally charted.
Just talk.
Sure. The only reason she babysits is to have
Halloween.
Come on out.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here, and happy Halloween. Today I'm going to be reviewing Halloween, the original 1978 classic, of course by John Carpenter, and starring Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, as well as Donald Pleasence as Dr. Loomis. And of course, this follows the night he came home.
Halloween. The night he came home.
On a cold Halloween night in 1963, 6-year-old Michael Myers brutally murdered his 17-year-old sister Judith. He was sentenced and locked away for 15 years. But on October 30th, 1978, while being transferred for a court date, a 21-year-old Michael Myers steals a car and escapes Smith's Grove. He returns to his quiet hometown of Haddonfield, Illinois, where he looks for his next victims. So yeah, I did a review on the new 2018 Halloween film not too long ago. Did a review of both Rob Zombie films, so I thought now it's time to actually talk about the original. it's one of those movies I feel ashamed I don't video on my channel yet, being kind of a horror themed and horror centric channel on TV shows and everything. So I definitely wanted to talk about this and thought it made sense to do so on Halloween. I have to work, so I didn't have a ton of time when I would get home tonight, so I'm doing it now. But yeah, so I just rewatched it again when I got home tonight, actually, and so it'd be as fresh in my mind as possible. I was just sort of craving its classic style, and yeah, overall I still do like this film. I honestly used to think the original Halloween was a bit overrated, and I still think so to some extent. Don't kill me, please. And if you guys watch my Rob Zombie Halloween movie reviews, I actually have a fondness for those, so don't kill me for that either, please. I may actually prefer those. Oh no. But there's no damn question, Halloween 1978, it set a standard for what slasher films could and should be, especially in the 80s and 90s. And a lot of times it's still not really topped with what it did today. And it's justified, it's deserved for the most part. Of course, we have Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode. Of course, one of those classic, sort of all-time final girl type characters. And she does a good job throughout the film. It brings me to one of my issues with it, though, and that's kind of the characters. It is a slasher film, right? So you don't really expect the characterization to be, that deep, or characters necessarily have that many interesting qualities about them. That's not what you're going in for. But here, Jamie Lee Curtis, she does a fine job, don't get me wrong, but the character she's playing, it's very sort of flat for me. Laurie Strode, she's just sort of this typical, good neighborhood girl type character, no real sort of distinguishable qualities to her, or much of a personality, honestly. And again, I feel like I'm going to be killed for saying this, but even in the first, I honestly prefer Scout Taylor Compton's Laurie Strode to Jamie Lee Curtis's, and I think she becomes a much more interesting character in Rob Zombie's second film than Curtis's ever was in the original films. It's not comparing performances, really, although, again, I think Compton maybe kind of takes it there, too. But Jamie Lee Curtis sort of brought it back with what she did in the new 2018 film, making her a more, fleshed-out character, naturally. But here, she's just sort of bland for me. Although I do like the actress who plays Annie in this, which is, Nancy Kyes. Although, obviously, I prefer Danielle Harris in the Rob Zombie films as well. I feel like Nancy Kyes still brought a fair amount of personality to, the friend role and everything. And, of course, Donald Pleasence, he's legendary as Dr. Loomis, and I can't really take away from that. Malcolm McDowell was competent, I did like him in the role as well, but you can't really touch Donald Pleasence's work as the character. So he was great throughout the film. May he rest in peace. I feel like I've been kind of bashing this movie a lot, and that's not what I might want to make this video about. I don't want to make it into a comparison video either, because no matter what series or version I prefer, again, I'll still say this movie certainly holds its place. There are just some iconic, moments here for just horror in general. Michael Myers' mask, it's probably the best looking mask he's had to date, along with, I do really like Rob Zombie's Myers mask as well as the new 2018 one. This one is still probably the most recognizable, and for good reason. And Carpenter, he really knew how to direct. There's a lot of eerie shots throughout the film. That's one of my favorites right there. And just sort of the timing of it all, it's really well done throughout. And of course the music, maybe Halloween wouldn't be as iconic as it is if it wasn't for the score and the theme in this movie. Just the dun, 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 just, throughout it plays. And one small gripe with that, I do feel like watching it again that the music is a bit overplayed. It's like any time Michael Myers is around at all. I know it's sort of his thing, but I don't know, I feel like they should have saved it for just certain moments throughout the movie to make it sort of more effective after you've seen it more than once or twice. but still it's iconic, it sticks in your head, and whenever it plays in that final house, you know, confrontation, I think it definitely works. And, you know, don't go into this movie expecting, you know, a lot of, like, Jason Voorhees type kills or something like that. You know, it's a lot more sort of suspense driven. It's probably the most suspenseful slasher type film you'll see, at least in terms of, like, the slasher icons and everything, I think. And I appreciate that about it, but there's not a lot of creative kills, minus this one here, which is fine. We got the head tilt going there. And again, just the whole final chase through the house is pretty good. You probably won't forget it. But yeah, you know, so I feel like I've been picking out this movie a lot, and I don't want to make that the central idea, but the fact is that I just don't hold it in quite as high regard as some. Although I still did enjoy watching it, I appreciate it. It's a fairly short runtime. But for me, I just don't see things necessarily as great as some do. Although, again, I recognize its credentials, and I still do like it. Don't get me wrong. And I feel like I'm repeating myself. But, yeah. So, overall, Halloween 1978, I do find it I personally don't see it as well as some do. But it definitely holds its place, and I'm like a broken record right now, so stick with me. There's definitely an underlying creepiness throughout the film. It's definitely eerie, and it's something that not really any of the films got back in the entire franchise, I will say that. I did like the 2018 sequel, but really there's just something eternal about this, I guess, and it sort of balances the line of, okay, is this Michael just sort of a durable, you know, kind of psychologically messed up human, or is he like some kind of, is there something extra about him, because he has this aurora, you know, kind of throughout the movie. So I like how they play with that in the film as well. And the ending is one of my favorites of any horror movie. You know, he gets shot off the balcony by Loomis, although the way he gets shot's kind of funny. It's I don't know. The way he jerks is kind of a bit silly, but you know, when he lands and then we look down again, you know, was that the boogeyman? Then, you know, you see, and right before that you had seen that Michael's body had vanished, and, you know, the music plays. That's great. That's when the music should have been used, and you know, throughout the house, I guess. But yeah, the new 2018 film sort of takes away from that ending a little bit, just saying he got apprehended by cops later that night. So, oh yeah, he's so cool. You know, he's gone. Where is he? Oh, the police got him. Don't worry. But yeah, overall, it holds its place. There are issues with it throughout that I sort of talked about already. And some of, like, the physical action between him and Laurie is a bit sloppy in the movie, I think. Because that same shot I talk about right there, really cool. But just a second later, he goes for the stab or the slash, and he cuts her sleeve or her arm a little bit. How does he miss that much? And then, like, when he comes up from behind the couch after she stabs him with the sewing needle, it's like a very obvious miss into the cushion, and just different things like that. Is he really that effective of killer? Obviously, yes, but I feel like some of that was a bit clunky. But still, overall, I'd rate Halloween somewhere around a B+ or A-. I'd probably settle on closer to a B+. But don't get me wrong, I recognize its place in horror, and I acknowledge it, I agree with it. But I prefer, you know, certain other films a bit more, and I do think it deserves the place it has. I feel like I'm going back and forth with myself here, but overall, it deserves its place. I just don't think it's necessarily fantastic, but it set a standard, and it's lasting, what, 40 years later? So I think there's something right about it. So yeah, let me guys think about the original Halloween, and again, let's not make this a flame war just because I prefer Rob Zombie's films. But yeah, so let me know what you guys are watching for Halloween. If you watched all this video, which I doubt you did. But if you're still here, let me know. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.